Hey everyone, Andreas here, and I am at a new location. This is undisclosed location number 3. Moving around during the pandemic is not fun, but I've had to tear down the entire studio and now I have to set it up again. This is the spare bedroom that I'm using from this Airbnb. As you can see, it's not set up as a studio, but instead it is set up as grandma's bedroom, as you can see from the style. And I'm going to be transforming this into a studio over the next couple of hours, working as fast as I can. And this is the video I made for you so you can watch me during that process. So first of all, we got to get all of the furniture out of here. Let's do it. Now, keep in mind, this is somebody else's home, this is somebody else's property, so the most important thing we need to do is respect other people's property here. Everything I'm going to do in this room is completely reversible, is going to cause no damage. We're going to be very gentle with the furniture, very gentle with the furnishings, and we're going to put everything back exactly as it was before we started. And everything I'm doing here is non-permanent, and that's really important as part of respecting property. Let's do this. Alright, things are moving along. As you can see, what I did was I sealed the windows with the very high-tech solution of black garbage or rubbish bags, and that's just to keep the light out and also providing a tiny bit of sound insulation, but mostly for light, because I need to control the light in the studio from our own light sources. And because on that wall, we're going to be putting a green screen and black screen background. And so we can't have the light coming through from behind, and we don't want the light coming through from this window and being asymmetric. So that's why I covered up the windows. And the next thing you may notice is that I'm using the mattresses and mattress boxes. I mean, since I have them and they're very difficult to move and move around, I'm using them to create additional sound insulation. So when doing sound in a room like this, one of the problems we have is all of the surfaces around us are hard surfaces and they reflect sound, which means that you hear an echo. So we need to make everything around us soft, and you'll see a couple of tricks we're going to use, including hanging up some sheets some distance from the wall to create a soft surface so that sound doesn't bounce off as aggressively as it does. But fabric and mattresses are really good sound insulation, so by using that we can not only get sound insulation, but it also acts as a backdrop, and we can easily pin a green screen onto those mattresses. That's the plan, at least. I don't know if it's going to work out, but that's what I'm aiming for right now. So the room is now clear. I've made a bit of space. I'm going to move some more mattresses around and then get started with the installation of the backgrounds. First though, I'm going to need to sweep in here. It is covered in dust, unfortunately. So let me go do that next. Part 2, cleanup. Did I mention it's really dusty in here? I'm allergic to dust. Let's do this. That is super convenient. That wall is exactly 4 mattresses wide, or 4 singles wide. 1 double in the center of the window and 1 single on either side. All right, cleanup is done. Mask can come off. Ugh. Okay, next up, let's hang a green screen and prepare the backgrounds. This would be a lot easier with 2 people. Beginning to take shape now. Most important thing with a green screen is making it as flat as possible, as even as possible, so it doesn't have any wrinkles or shadows. So using some transparent push pins for this. Obviously you want to make it non-permanent so we don't do any damage to the property. And these leave a tiny hole in fabric. They don't even leave a hole, they just go between the weave. So we're not causing any damage to the mattress, and should be done in a few minutes with That's looking really nice. It's smooth enough. You'll see once it's lit, it's going to look even better. Now, from seeing the green screen over there, you've probably figured out by now that the camera is going to go over here, and I'm going to be sitting somewhere in the center of the room. I want to sit far away from the green screen and any backdrop so I don't create shadows. And I also want to be centered in the room as much as possible so that my voice doesn't echo from nearby walls. So if I'm near the corner or near a wall, my voice is going to echo a lot. So we're going to fix that by having me centered. So next up, we're going to start putting some additional insulation. I'm now going to be hanging some sheets in front of the walls to create some soft fabric insulation to improve the sound. Whenever we're recording sound, it's important to have a room that doesn't reflect sound. Already, just by putting up these mattresses, we don't have as much reflection because all of the hard surfaces, the floor, the ceiling, and all of the walls that are hard reflect my voice. So next up, I'm gonna hang some sheets from the ceiling with push pins all the way down to the floor to create a soft surface that doesn't reflect sound, that absorbs sound. It's not professional insulation, but it's better than nothing. These are sheets I got from Amazon. These are not the host sheets. And let's get started. So now we have sheets on these two walls, and I don't know if you can hear, but already the sound in here has improved tremendously. So all of these soft surfaces are no longer reflecting my voice. The floor and the ceiling are still a bit of a problem, but we're going to deal with that with a carpet, and we'll see what we'll do with the ceiling. We might leave it as is. It should be okay. Let's do one more underneath the air conditioner. All right, so next up, I'm going to set up my video camera on the master tripod. So we're going to switch to recording from that camera in just a second. First, the main video camera I'm using is this one. This is a Panasonic camcorder. It's got a 20 optical zoom, very good low light performance. It can record for hours, takes a standard SD card, plugs into USB for charging and for powering it, and takes an external microphone. So everything I need for a live streaming webcasting camera. This is a great piece of equipment. I'll be setting this up now. Now, the camera is only part of the solution. One of the things I've been using lately to improve the light is a ring light. And a ring light does two things. First of all, it puts light directly on my face from the direction where I'm looking, which is the camera. But it also creates a nice effect where you have a ring of light reflected in your eyes, which looks much more natural than having kind of a square light or something else reflected in your eyes. So we'll set that up because the camera actually sits inside the ring light. All right, so this is it. It's an LED ring light, and it takes a standard camera screw on the bottom, and it has a cold shoe adapter on the top where I can put a stand for the camera. And this is the thing that holds up the camera. As you can see, that's a cold shoe on the bottom, and it's a screw on the top with a little ball joint so that I can adjust the camera with that. All right, one of the nice things about this camera is that it has a built-in level, so that allows me to see if it's actually level right on the screen. And I also have an extra level for that particular use. Let's see how it looks. So this is it. This is the setup with the tripod. This is what I stare at when I'm doing my videos. And of course this is lit up. Now that we've got the camera set up, we're just quickly gonna switch view and record the rest of it from that camera. Well, maybe also from this camera. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so got that camera recording, this camera recording. The sound currently is just whatever is being picked up by the built-in microphones. We're gonna get to sound later. One thing I have to tell you is there is a lot of cables. Audio cables, video cables, power cables. I have bags for each one. But next, what we're going to do is we're going to set up the backdrop and frame. So I use a variety of backdrops. I prefer the black one and also use the green screen. The green screen needs to be flat against the surface so it can be nicely stretched because it shows every tiny imperfection and shadow and crease, whereas the black screen is much more forgiving. So I'm going to be setting up the black screen on a frame that can move around with tripods, and that way I can have some flexibility. If I want a black background, I put it up. If I don't, I just move it out of the way, and then I have the green screen behind me. Let's do that next. Now the black backdrop we have can be hung like a curtain, so it has a loop, and I could pass the rod through the loop and hang it up there. The problem is that if I do that, it hangs narrow and long onto the floor, and I actually want it to be wide, and I don't need it to be very tall because I'm doing this work sitting down, not standing up. So for that orientation, we're going to use a number of clamps that are going to clamp it to that frame. Clamps! And there you have it. As you can see, the black is much more forgiving. We now have a background that looks really good. All right, let's adjust this camera and see what it looks like from here. So once we zoom that camera in and you can't see the edges, we have a totally black scene, and that's without even any of the lights quite yet. So lights, let there be light. This is where it's going to get really complicated. This is going to be a lot of work, so bear with me. So this next part where we set up the lights, I'm going to be setting up my 3 main lights, and this type of light is called the Softbox, and what it basically is 4 very bright fluorescent bulbs inside a box with reflective material, so that it makes it nice and smooth across the entire scene. And that comes as a giant kit, which is a bag that has all of the light bulbs and fittings and drapes and everything else. Let me show you the bag. Here we go. This is the kit. And there we go. That's not a softbox yet, it's just 4 lights, and they get brighter as they warm up. Much, much brighter, as you can see. And this is just one of 3 lights. It takes a lot of lights to light up a scene. Now let's put the softbox around them. Alright, the final part that makes up a softbox is a diffuser screen that sits in front. And there we are, we've got our softbox. Okay, as you can see, this is now much nicer and lights quite evenly across the entire scene. Alright, 1 down, 2 more to go. Alright, and here we go. We've got 2 of these softboxes now all lit up and creating a nice, well-lit scene. Obviously, not very good if it's behind me. It's going to be in front of me, and so now we've got to set up 1 more light, and that light is a top light that shines down from above. That cancels out shadows and also helps differentiate me from the green screen when I'm using the green screen. Now, this light's a bit tricky because it uses a counterweight in order to stay up on the ceiling. And so we'll see, let's figure out what we're gonna use for a counterweight. I'm thinking a can of beans. Wouldn't be the first time, let me tell you that. Let's set it up. Now you may notice there's a little ring at the end of this, and that's for hanging this empty bag, which, when we're ready, will contain something heavy. set up the last softbox. This is the top light that goes on the ceiling. So let's see what we have to use as a counterweight. White premium chunk chicken breast, almost 2 pounds, 25-ounce Nutella. I don't think I should use that for this. And crushed tomatoes. Let's see what fits in the counterweight bag. All right, crushed tomatoes work. Let's see if we can get the chicken in here. I tried eating canned chicken once, now it's a counterweight. Here we go, the professional counterweight system. Let's set it up. So there's the top light. It was a lot harder than I expected, and it took a lot more weight. It's a heavy light, so counterbalancing it safely, had to use that toolbox down there as a counterweight, and there's some twine involved and no chewing gum, but you know, it's pretty basic. All right, we've got all our lights set up now, and as you can see here, the camera is right between these two lights. You can't quite see it, it's over here. It's over here. And now for the next 2 items that need to go into this room, we have a table and a chair. All right, let's get them. Bon appetit! And now the basics are set up. Table, a chair which I've covered with a black blanket so that it's not quite visible, my black background, my top light that's lighting me from above, my 2 main lights, left and right, and the camera. Now from this side you see the whole studio, you see the backdrop, and it all kinds of looks washed out, I'm sure, but from here everything looks so much better. That's the basic setup for today. We've got lights, we've got camera. Tomorrow I'm setting up all of the audio equipment. I'm setting up the video capture, the streaming deck, the video capture laptop, and all of the other little cables, microphones, and things that are required to make this a quality production. So let's get started on that tomorrow. I'd like to say a special thanks to all of the community builders who make it possible for my team and I to produce ad-free educational content for everyone. If you'd like to learn more about how to become a community builder, please go to patreon.com/aantonop. That's patreon.com/aantonop. Thank you so much. All right, it's day 2 of the setup, and we're gonna continue from where we left off. Yesterday we set up the majority of this room as a studio, set up the lights and the primary camera, another light above me, and we kind of got the space laid out. But of course a lot more goes into live streaming and producing quality video. And over the last 2 years, I've accumulated quite a bit of equipment in order to do this and in order to produce high quality video and audio, or as much high quality as can be when your production video and audio engineer is me, and I'm not trained in this stuff, so I'm trying to learn as fast as I can. Here's the equipment I'm going to be setting up today, and this will all be used in some way or another. First, here we have a gaming laptop, and this is a Windows laptop. I don't usually use Windows for my work. I use Linux for most of my work, but my personal laptop is Linux, but this is specifically for video production. As a gaming laptop, it has a powerful graphics card. It's a NVIDIA 1665 Ti, something like that. And that allows real-time processing of video streams, which is really important when live streaming and we're doing rescaling from 1080 to 720 or from 4K to 1080. processing high bandwidth video streams, and that requires a dedicated computer. So that's the computer here. I've got 3 sets of microphones here. They're all in Rode bags. Rode is a great prosumer company for audio, but actually one of these bags contains a Sennheiser lavalier microphone. Then I have 2 Rode lavalier microphone powered microphones, and 2 Rode Smartlavs that plug into smartphones. Over here I have another microphone. This is a Rode powered shotgun mic that usually sits on the stand that I'm currently recording from. I also have a condenser microphone, a powered condenser microphone. This is a USB microphone, Samson. It's a little portable mic. I use this mostly for podcasting when I don't need to mount it or have it in video. So that's another microphone here. Together with the microphones, I have these wireless transmitter receiver packs. These are also from Rode. This is the Rodelink Tx-Rx model. And these use Wi-Fi frequencies in order to transmit sound with very low latency and high quality digital sound. They're great, relatively inexpensive. Just a few years ago, equipment like this cost thousands of dollars, but now using Wi-Fi frequencies, these are actually quite inexpensive. And the newer models, which are tiny, again, this is a receiver and a transmitter, which I can connect the lavalier microphones to. Now, of course, I don't just transmit to one place because I'm simultaneously capturing video on the video camera and also capturing it and converting it on the laptop. And the audio streams are 2 separate audio streams in parallel because I don't want to encode, decode audio through the camera. I have one stream going to the camera for my backup recording. I have another stream going directly to the streaming laptop, analog connection to my streaming laptop, so that I can stream the sound directly. Another piece of equipment is this. This is a Zoom F1 field recorder. This has a belt clip. So when I'm doing an on-stage presentation, I wear this on my belt so that I can record directly from the lavalier microphone into this little device, which records a high-quality uncompressed WAV onto an SD card. And this is my backup recording, so I can get very clear sound directly from my microphone. And from here, I run a cable to one of my transmitters, which I transmit to the camera. And of course, I put this before the transmitter so that if something happens with the transmitter, if it runs out of battery or the signal gets messed up or something like that, I still have a clean recording right on my belt that didn't go over the airwaves directly from the lavalier mic. And then the second recording, of course, is captured on the camera that I've set up. And I also use this to make backup recording of audio directly when I'm in the studio. It's a nice little recording device. Over here, another recent addition to my kit. This is a Focusrite 2-channel audio mixer and digital audio converter, or sound card, effectively. This connects with USB directly to the laptop, and so it captures sound. It's better than the sound card that's built into the laptop. These laptops are really meant to produce sound for games, but not to capture sound accurately. This is a very high quality digital audio capture device. It takes an XLR plug for powered microphones of various kinds. It also takes an instrument plug for a guitar or something like that, which I'm not using, and it has a monitor port. This is what I'm using to capture audio directly into the laptop for the live stream. Let's see what else we have here. 2 more pieces of equipment that are part of the live stream. When I'm recording with this camera here, the Panasonic camera I showed you earlier, I'm also picking up the HDMI feed from that camera with a cable in order to live stream it. So it's recording locally on the SD card, and then it's exporting a low latency HDMI signal which is both video and audio, which I use to stream. So, lavalier microphone onto my transmitter, which is on my belt or my pocket, transmitting to the camera where it is recorded with the video and then sent over HDMI back, which brings us to this. This is the Elgato HD60S. This is a digital capture card. What this does is it takes an HDMI input and over USB 3 or USB 2.0, it produces a video feed. It looks like a video camera with sound, a sound card and a video camera on my laptop. So I'm able to take the HDMI from the camera and see it on my laptop as a webcam, effectively. It uses a similar driver. And this is an extremely high quality, low latency card that can do 1080p at 60 frames per second without delaying the video. One of the big issues, of course, is with all of this audio and video moving back and forth between the camera and the computer is synchronization between audio and video and making sure that when I speak, my lips move at the same time. And having a very low latency capture card for the video really makes a huge difference. And finally, another recent addition that I'll be showing you next is this. This is the Elgato StreamDeck, and what this is a video production and control keyboard. This is a special keyboard with customized keys. These are little LED screens, effectively, that allow me to create customized keys, which allow me to switch the scenes on my studio software so that I can switch the perspective of what I'm filming while I'm filming it, effectively controlling the studio software on here. I'm using the Open Broadcaster software on this laptop, and this little keyboard allows me with a single key press to switch scenes, to mute microphones, turn off cameras, turn them on again, play little animations, sound effects, etc., while I'm live streaming, and I don't need to worry about touching the laptop and switching between applications. That will drive all of the necessary applications. All right, this is all the equipment, and of course with that equipment, a whole bunch of cables. I keep them organized: audio cables, video cables, and a whole bag full of USB cables. Let's set it all up. Question I often ask myself is, can you ever have enough USB cables? I think the answer is now yes. Yes, I finally have enough USB cables. Now we go to the second problem, which is how many USB ports am I going to need on this computer. I have a little hub to help me out with that, because even with a gaming laptop that has 6 USB ports, I actually need 8. So here we go. Alright everyone, it's been a long couple of days, 4 or 5 hours of work, but the studio is now ready. Here it is. I've not only set up all of the audio and video equipment, but I've also completed my first sound check. As you can see here, everything is now wired up, everything's connected, lots of USB cables and ports. I managed to get all of the audio cables on this side and all of the electric cables on that side to prevent any interference. As you can see, I'm ready with my Open Broadcaster software and my little StreamDeck over here, and I've added 2 little touches for extra quality of light control. The first one is these 2 lights here just in front of the camera. These ones here that you see are LED lights with a full color range on the RGB spectrum, and what that allows me to do is fill color so that I don't have just this white cold color. I can make it warmer if I want, or I can contrast it if I'm doing green screen where I need a different color setting. For the green screen, I also have another light right here that's behind my chair, and that shines light back here onto the green screen to backfill it, just to give good contrast so that I don't have like green color bleeding in my shoulders or around my hair. And that's one of the tricks I learned, of course, by watching a YouTube video. Studio is now ready. It's looking good. I'm ready to broadcast tomorrow. It's going to be the first live stream in the new studio, and wish me luck.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and share. All my work is shared for free, so if you want to support it, join me on Patreon.